Big Rapids. This is what happens when you give a bunch of locals a radio station and tell them to play the 80s and more. D1039.
Morning sun lights the day, and bright on the way. Stories of a small town life. Sports and joy cut like a knife. Hot stove league and full chat. High school dreams and college stats. Wednesday morning tales unfold. Memories and news retold. Tune in B1039. Curry's voice and life's sweet line. Sheriff Miller by his side. Lively bluegrass, hearts fly.
And it's time for Curry's Hot Stove League, brought to you by Zott's Bar and Grill, Roxanne and Doug, and also by Big Rapids Tire. So good morning.
Great people in Big Rapids, taking care of great people. Hey, I'm just really excited about today's show, so I'm gonna let it go right. I'm gonna let these guys talk because I think we got an hour, and we could talk for 2 or 3 hours because we have an historian here. Paulette DeVries is with us. Ron DeVries' wife. She was a Denslow from the Barrington area. Married Ron many years ago. Not that she's old. She looks beautiful today as she did 30, 40 years ago when she started with this hockey program. Paulette, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm just excited as heck that we're all here. God has given us another day. We're all blessed. Mike Spedowski, Joe Spedowski's son, Nancy, been around for since birth. How old are you, Mike, now?
49.
49, yeah, it's hard to believe. And it seems like yesterday you guys were over in Flint playing for the state championship. Man, you guys had some great hockey, and we'll talk about that a little bit, about your experience and why are you still with it.
All right, somebody's headphones are a little loud here whistling on the air. So whoever's got their headphones really loud, you might bring them down a little bit.
Okay, how about that?
That's better.
Is that all right,
Yep.
Tim? Can you hear?
Yeah, that
Good
works.
morning, Tim.
Good morning.
You, longtime coach now. You're a young man yet, but you got a lot of years under your belt.
Yes.
How many years you been coaching? Just real quick here.
So this will be my 19th year coaching.
Wow,
so I know.
Unbelievable, isn't it,
Crazy.
Paulette?
It is.
Let's start with Paulette. First of all, Paulette, you grew up in Barrington.
I grew up outside of Barrington, but I went to Barrington High School.
What'd your dad do?
He worked in a factory.
He wasn't a hockey player.
I had no idea what hockey was. I'd go to my grandmother's house, and she would have hockey on TV, and I thought, why in the world is she watching that? They go up and down the ice.
Yeah.
They crash once in a while.
Right.
I have no idea why she watched it, and here I am today.
And so now, as you have your shirt on, and Mike's going to help spread that out and show you on your back of your shirt what it says. We're in our 41st year.
Yes, sir.
And you were part of the beginning of the hockey tradition in Big Rapids.
Actually, this is my 42nd year because it took us almost a year to work on this program to get us started, and it started in '84.
What? I have so many questions for you.
I'm glad.
I'm going to start. Were your boys on one of the first teams?
Rick was.
Rick was. Yeah.
He tried out. He was a freshman, and I truthfully didn't think they'd ever take a freshman. I didn't know anything about the team when they were picking it. I just knew that we wanted our boys to be able to skate further than just freshmen and then be done with hockey. So when he tried out, he came home and he told me he'd made the team. So Rick and Todd Halloran were the first 2 4-year players on the team.
Wow. Yeah. So your daughter, did she skate?
No, but she loved hockey, and she loved Todd Rudrube from Ferris State Hockey.
Okay.
Her and Wendy Hawes went all the time,
Well,
too.
you know, we have football mothers, basketball mothers, soccer
Yes.
mothers, and then we have you hockey mothers.
Aren't we something?
Yeah. Well, what intrigued you to get so involved? I mean, what?
When
what
I
happened
first
there?
went to the arena, they went for just for an open skate type thing. When the boys said, they came home and said they wanted to play hockey, and I said, are you sure you don't want to do baseball or football, something like I know about?
Right.
And I didn't say that to them, but and they said, no, we really would like to play hockey. So when I took them to the ice arena the day that they had the just open skate for the players to come, they didn't have any equipment or anything. So we told them, I said, I have no idea what they need. And they said, don't you worry, we will find you everything you need. So they got pads and skates and everything and put them up. And I went to the door where they go on the ice, and I had tears running down my face because I just was so out of my element. And there was a gentleman there, and he said, do you need help with something? I said, well, we don't know what to do next. And he opened the door, and he picked up Rick and gave him a shove, and he picked up Paul, gave him a shove, and shut the door, and he said, you're all set.
Wow. Why did we start hockey in Big Rapids? I know we had the ice arena back in the late 70s.
Right.
There, I guess.
John Lennon, he was an instructor at Ferris.
Yeah, no, wow.
And he was very into hockey. He had two sons, and he was really into hockey. A lot of people were into hockey a lot sooner than what my family was. They started when they were younger. And Rick and Paul were like 8 and 9. And a lot of them had started before that, so I really didn't know too much about it. But John kind of took me under his wing and explained things to me and things. And we were talking about it, and he said, you know, it's really too bad that when the boys or girls now turn 15, there was nothing else to skate.
Oh, so we had a little league kind of.
It went up to midgets.
Yeah.
It went up to midgets. Was that what they were called?
Yeah, back then it was.
Midgets. And then it was over at like 15 or 16. They were just done playing. There weren't any more for them. And so John said, maybe we should have a meeting. Would you come to it? And I told him that I would. And it just all took place from there. Every month where we had a meeting, there's only like 4 of us. There were 3 other men and myself.
Who was that? Do you remember who it was?
Yep, John Lennon, Jim Sutton, Dr. Jim Sutton.
Oh, yeah.
Paul Schell.
Oh, yeah.
And Les Hersher was there too sometimes.
And then
Myself.
you kind of were the head of the fundraising department, if I remember right, because I remember you coming in the station, and not that you had your hand out, but you had a big smile on your face, say, hey, we're doing something great that's going to be great in Big Rapids here. And I don't think anybody ever turned you down. You were a hard worker with your daycare going on. I don't know how you found the time, but I look back at those days, and I think of Barb Breton back in those days, how instrumental she was with ice
Figure
skating.
Sure.
Figure skating, and you on the boys' side. And you guys are always smiling. I could never turn you down with.
Well, I have to tell you something special before you go there.
Yeah.
We went to the board and presented it, and it only passed by 1 vote.
Wow.
It was either 3 to 4 or 4 to 5 that it passed.
Yeah.
And before they would pass it, they said that we need one more women's sport, and so they brought in women's softball or girls softball.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Well,
Didn't
I don't know
girls
that
softball before that?
I don't think so. And it was a girls' sport, but so they passed that, and then ours passed by whatever. So we went to the board and they passed it. We had to have $10,000 by November 1st in order to get on the ice. And so we had a meeting, and it was a lot of people at our hockey meeting, and everybody came, and John Lennon got up, and I'm listening very intently to him, and he got up and stood, and he said, I want to turn this program over to Paulette DeVries. I know she'll do a great job.
Wow.
I had no idea.
Really?
No idea.
Yeah, but you loved it, didn't you?
I had to.
I mean,
I did, but then I love being around, doing things with people and helping people and things like that. So I was shocked though. I had never really done anything like that before. And he just stood up and said it, and everyone just turned around and looked at me, and my face is just like I'm shocked because I had no idea. So I took over from there.
Yeah, but you, let's go back to your high school days.
Sure.
You must have been something in high school. You must have been some kind of leader with the Girl Scouts or something you were involved with. You were kind of...
I was pretty much in my class. I was, I didn't know I just did it naturally.
Doesn't matter. God has a plan for all of us, but
Exactly.
you were
I believe
brought
that.
up, you were mentored by him or whoever, and you had that strength in you that you said, no, I don't believe in negativity.
All my aunts on my mom's side were very strong women, and were always helping and doing things for people, and I just I learned from them.
Did it for a lot of years, and you're still involved. I mean, somewhat, aren't you?
Yes, as a spectator.
Yeah.
I sat in the same spot every game and sat and watched the team and everything, so I'm there for that. But it just all happened, and for the girl who knew nothing about hockey, and here I am today.
But I mean, the numbers. I remember Title IX came about and back then. And they were thinking about getting rid of Ferris to hockey at that time.
Yes, they were.
And I was in those sitting because I was pretty good friends as the coach. And we used to meet at the Best Western Hotel for lunches.
Sure.
And that was back when Ferris had every Friday we had a Bulldog luncheon. I think they should get back to that. In fact, Josh Piles put one on here a couple Fridays ago at Crankers, and I thought it was going to be every Friday, and I was kind of excited because it brought my memories back to my dad. He was a big supporter of Ferris back in the day. And I remember when they said that, Helen Popovich, I think, was the president at that time, and I was sitting there, and I looked at the coach. I said, well, I tell you what, these people don't realize how close our community is.
Exactly.
And when they fight big time. So they're going to open up a can of worms here. And I said, they'll never close that hockey. They'll never go. And you guys stood up. I went to one of the meetings that they had there at Ferris. And Frankie Wheatlake, you Randy Bleeker, the Britons. I mean, all you guys. I didn't say anything. I just sat back like a little coward. But no. But I just loved it because you guys stood up to the Giants and said, no, you're not. Bulldog hockey is going to be stronger than ever.
Exactly.
And people opened up their wallets but opened up their voices really and showed the strength, the backbone of Big Rapids, and that still continues today because of pioneers like you. And that's one of the reasons I like to record these things, because down the road they're going to say it was easy all the way through. No, it wasn't easy, was
Not
it?
at all.
You had a lot of nights, a lot of committee meetings that you took away from your family, right?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Well, and we had to raise that. We were the first sports group or any group probably that had to pay for their own sport, and we did it.
Yeah, hockey wasn't supported by the athletic department of
Not for the first 2 years. No, we paid for everything ourselves.
But after that, the public school paid a little bit out.
I'm not really sure.
I didn't think they did.
Several years.
Yeah, I thought it was.
I don't think.
You
I don't
guys
think
are
it was right away.
self-efficient.
Yeah, exactly. Every year, once we were on the ice, all the money we took in was for the next year, and it went that way every year. Every team raised for the next year.
Now, Joe Spedowski was instrumental in the ice arena for many
definitely.
years. You ran that right from the start.
Joe was real good. He was a good hockey guy.
And then he got his both sons, little guy Joey, and then Mike here, Mike Spedowski's with us. Mike, tell us about your dad. How big of an influence was he getting you on the ice? And your dad never skated, right?
No, he never did skate. We went to a lot of Ferris games.
Okay.
And I didn't actually start until later. I was probably, I don't remember, maybe 8, 9. It was later than the normal. I just wanted to play one day. You know, we would have a lot of Ferris players come to dinner. And one of them was Jim Baker back then, and he was the one that really kind of got me into it. He'd go in the basement, we'd shoot tennis balls, we'd shoot pucks, and I just kind of got a love for it and wanted to play. And my brother played for a little while. He played on the high school for I think one season. He didn't really play much, but Dad was around the rink a lot, and we just we used to have a rink outside as well, and we would play as a kid, and the neighbors would come down and play. And yeah.
Well, historically, Big Rapids has always had good athletes. Now you got a new game called hockey. Back then everybody went and played football. Then all of a sudden hockey took a lot of football players away from that sport, so we kind of went down there a little bit for a short period of time. Obviously, we got a great football team now again, and we've had since. But anyway, you guys had a group of guys that were really willing to put in all that extra effort. What is it about hockey, the sport itself? And I'm going to ask Tim here, the coach here, that too. But you guys just live and eat it, don't you?
Yeah, so it's a lifestyle, right? I mean, it goes for so long, and you're a big family. You're around each other. I can remember when my son would play, when River would play like soccer, there would be people on that team that I don't even know, parents. But with hockey, you're all generated together. You're always together. You're doing weekends together. You're doing overnighters together. It's a big group, and it's a big family. And to this day, like all the alumni still meet, not just the alumni, parents are all meeting at Zont's. Before pregame, we still stay together, and there's no reason you have to, but you do because you love it.
But Paulette too is to be successful. He touched on it just there a minute ago. Family.
Yes.
It is about family, and if you look at hockey, you have a mother and a dad. Almost every one of those players have a loving family, don't they?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I think that's a big part of being successful in life. In anything that you do, you have to have a good foundation. And hockey, thanks to Paulette here, you guys have a great foundation, don't you,
Yeah.
Tim? I'm going to bring Tim Blashell. Been in here. I asked him prior to the show how many years you've been here, and I can remember when you started. My God, the last 20 years went fast. I hope it slows down, but unfortunately, it's not going to, and that's not the way the world turns. But Tim, welcome this morning. You've been a great asset to Big Rapids. You grew up where, Tim? Let's go back to your childhood days.
So I grew up in Sault Ste. Marie.
Oh wow, yeah. Oh, hockey town there, right?
Hockey town there for sure. And to be honest, just hearing some stories and thinking back, I never really thought I'd be here 19 years later. But I couldn't have asked for a better adult life and how this has worked out. And really a lot of it is similarities to how I grew up in the Sioux. The stories, Lake State has a hockey program up there, so very similar that way. And then getting to meet these families, I think right off the bat was something special for me. And that's kind of what it's been. I never thought I'd be here, but I'm super happy I'm here.
Right, yeah.
And it's the family and the relationships and a person like Paulette that I've got to know over the years.
Right.
It's just tremendous. And I think that bodes to what the program's all about. Just that commitment. And,
I heard that little Canadian thing.
Yeah.
In there. I love that. Well, what brought you here, Tim?
So I actually followed my brother. My brother played goaltender for Fair State.
Okay.
And then
His name?
His name's Jeff Blashell.
Okay, yeah.
And so he played goalie here at Ferris. So I got to know the town a little bit at that point. And then he became a graduate assistant coach after he was done playing. And then he got hired full-time as a coach. I just got done playing. I went to a college outside of Buffalo, Fredonia. So when I was done playing, I came to Ferris and kind of took his graduate assistant role and thought I'd be there a year or two. And then I ended up working with the ice arena, with the youth program, and it kind of just evolved from there. And then Brian Gwinney was the head coach at the time with the high school team. He asked me to come out and help with these guys, and Mike was there as well. And then that's where we're at from there.
So did you play in college, you say?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What'd your mom and dad do in Sault Ste. Marie there?
So my dad was a professor, criminal justice at Lake Superior State.
That's why you're straight.
Yeah,
You're a straight line guy, right? Never been in trouble.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a little
right.
bit. Yeah. He was a police officer in Detroit for 10 years.
Really?
And then they made the move to Sault Ste. Marie.
How old were you when you moved up there then?
I was actually the only one born in Sault Ste. Marie. So
All right.
my brother, then I have two older sisters, and they were
Where are they at now?
they're in Traverse City.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
so
they
my
have
mom and dad.
families?
Yep.
Are their families playing hockey?
They all did. Yes.
They all did.
Yeah.
Something. No,
Yeah.
everybody. So did you get to their games?
Yeah, for sure. My nephew Jake is, I think, 26 now, and he ended up playing for the Traverse City Bay Raps, which is St. Francis and that kind of that group team up there. And they actually beat us his senior year. I think was the first time they ever beat us. So
And you coached them.
and I was
You're coaching here.
Big Rapids.
That's what I was getting to. So you coached against your
coached
nephew.
against my nephew, and he doesn't forget that either.
No. Yeah.
But it's a lifestyle, as Mike and Paulette talked about, and it's something. I was thinking this year, we talked a little bit about it. I've been on a team. I'm 48 years old, and I've been on a team since I was 4. Wow. So all the way through, and either playing or coaching. So it's certainly something special for me.
So who's your mentor? Who was your mentor?
My mentor, I had some great youth coaches growing up. I remember specifically Daryl Horka, Bob Brown, Ken Sherman from the Sioux. These are guys that I'll never forget, and my brother even brings it up sometimes, throughout his coaching career, his squirt AA coach when he was a 10-year-old. We remember those times. And
How much older is your brother than you?
he's 2 years older.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doing what you love.
Doing what I love,
And
for
then
sure.
his career has taken him on one hell of a path.
Yeah.
And Fair State has really produced, along with you, a lot of good coaches, hasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And
What is that all about? Not every program has that.
No, I think Bob Daniels would be, obviously for me, and having been here for now 20 years, just a huge influence on my life and my coaching. And I think he's, one of those guys that understands, he can see people, and he understands kind of that, maybe that coaching capability. Yeah. And he helps develop them. And my brother to this day says he's the one that made him make that decision, and helped him guide him.
And he was content to stay here. I see recently he got his, 500s?
He did, yeah, last weekend. Yeah.
Now, this is a dumb question. I know that's a lot of wins, but in that profession, is that kind of like the elitist 500?
Yeah, I mean, that's longevity. That's a lot of years, you know.
A lot of people don't get that.
A lot of people don't get that.
No.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, why do you think Bob elected to stay here at Ferris? What do you think?
I think it honestly, it's similar to myself and a lot of people you get here in the community and the town and the passion. You know, he's had some opportunities to move on and really enjoyed it here and raised his family here. And I'm doing that myself now. I have a 6-year-old whose birthday's today. Glennie
happy
Rose.
birthday. What's his name?
birthday.
Her name is Glennie Rose.
Oh, say happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, Glennie. And
6 years old.
6 years old, and then I have an 8-year-old son, Jackson, as well. So a little bit younger kids, but now we're kind of interested in the community and certainly enjoy it.
So the little fella, 8 years old, got skates.
He's got skates.
How many has he wore out?
Quite a few. Well, he's probably 3 or 4 skates.
Is he pretty good? You see a lot of talent, like the Blashell talent, or
he's probably better than I am at this age, so that's a good thing. But he's enjoying it for sure, and he loves to go. You know, so I think that's key.
Hockey's grown a lot, obviously, and it's probably the top sport in Michigan now. I say that in Big Rapids here anyway. I mean, what's your feelings on travel teams and local teams and how, that I see a lot of people are just giving those kids a chance to go out and excel in what they're doing. And one other question after you answer that question, how important do you think a travel team is over staying here in Big Rapids with the youth program, and how do you like that? And the other thing is, what's the percentages of high school hockey players going on to college, and what's the percentage of college kids going into the NFL?
So there's definitely, it's an interesting question because it's a hard time, I'd say, to a certain degree with hockey. We have a unique system here in Big Rapids, and that's another reason why I've continued to coach here. I love how we have it set up with Braja and the Youth Association. We have a unique, I call it a unique formula. And we have, especially myself working at the rink and the ice. And so we've been able to have a mixture. And I always tell everybody, everybody's path is their own. So no path is right. So some kids have gone on and played some travel hockey. Some kids have stayed throughout Braja and the house programs here. And I like to call it, we have, I think, an upper level house program in terms of that. But it is a unique question these days. There seem to be more and more travel teams. And sometimes those travel teams can be, pseudo house teams. So it's what are you defining it as, and what do you, level of commitment do you have to make to play hockey? So that is a tough question moving forward. I hope that we can still have these programs. We just don't have as many. In some years we've had more kids than others, but you have to have a really large number of kids to.
Everybody has regrets.
Yeah.
And over the years, I just gonna say the Chase boys, they were very good hockey players, but they elected to go on travel in high school, right?
Yep.
Do you think kids that do that, and what I'm trying to say here is to help other kids maybe coming up.
Yeah.
Is there any resentment you think on those guys? I'm sure there's regrets in life of all kinds, but gosh, they go to the end of the cycle and there's no more to go.
Yeah.
So do you ever think sometimes you might say to these kids, you know what, play in Big Rapids, enjoy and if you're good enough, you can go on to other things. I mean, you have camaraderie, you have that family atmosphere here. Where travel, if you leave town, you go someplace. Now, like Brad Merrick, he's an exception.
Yeah.
I mean, he had the talent that he's the bigger kid, and he's doing real well. But what would you say to a kid that's contemplating on saying, when I get in ninth grade, I'm gonna go to Ottawa?
Yeah. So it is hard, and I do think that everybody's path, can be different. And we've had, Seth Adams was probably the last player, I think, from our high school team that made played junior hockey and then made it to Fair State. So there's been a good mix of kids that have played in town here all the way through, and then there's been kids that have moved on and had the resources and the chance to do some different things with travel hockey, and that's okay too. So I think if you're good enough, they're going to find you. I've always said that. And
so you can stay in Big Rapids. Well, like Nick Scheibele, he did.
Yeah, for sure. Nick was one of absolutely. Trace Pennock, Nick Scheibele, Seth, Cody Chupp. These are all high school guys, and so everybody's path can be different. Bradley obviously is an outstanding player. It was great seeing him play last week. I didn't get a chance to go down there because we had Ferris games, but playing down against the Griffins, and he's a really good kid. And Bradley always comes back and makes a point to talk to us in our program, and appreciates our program too. So I think it's a good balance. It's what is your right path? There is no right path. So I think it's what you can make of it. But if you're good enough and you work hard enough, and then you need some breaks here and there too. But you can make it.
Yeah. Well, we'll take a break here for our advertisers, Zots Bar and Big Rapids Tire, Bob.
And we'll be back in just a minute right here on Curry's Hot Stove League.
Good show.
Come say cheers at Zots Bar and Grill in Big Rapids. Great food, great prices, and great people where everybody knows your name. Zots, people's choice for best soup. You don't want to miss their award-winning burgers and chili as well. Originally opened in 1933 and serving it up ever since. Seasonal beers on tap. Located at 732 North State Street in Big Rapids. Roxanne and Doug at Zots Bar and Grill are proud sponsors of the Signature Player of the Week for the Curry's Hot Stove League every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m.
Hey, this is Andrew from Big Rapids Tire. Putting off winter, good idea for some, but in reality, pretty much impossible. And if you wait too long to get snow tires, you'll be saying,
should have done it sooner. Dang it.
or something slightly more harsh. Last thing you want is to be slipping and sliding, or even worse, delayed, because you can't get out of your driveway. Get fresh new snow tires from Big Rapids Tires. There's no better feeling than to confidently take on the roads in the rough weather with good solid snow tires on your car. Confidence and peace of mind. Priceless. Big Rapids Tire. There for you, whatever the weather. Fast and friendly service on Northland Drive, just north of Big Rapids. Call 796-4839. That's 796-4839. Big Rapids Tire.
9:28 on B1039 as Curry's Hot Stove League continues. And we'll go back to Pat. So go ahead, Pat. There you go.
All right, back to you, Bob.
Yep.
Oh, I'm
Thanks.
Pat. You're Bob. And I asked Bob coming in the studio this morning, I called him Robert.
Yeah.
And you, your eyes lit up. You were excited about that.
Well,
nobody's ever called you Robert.
No,
you said you grew up being a Robert.
My family all call me Robert.
Wow.
My
I had
mother
a brother,
insisted on
Robert.
it. It wasn't until I got to school that I became Rob, Bob, Bobby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you now, Roberta? Well, I'm telling you, I'm Patricia.
Only on the weekends.
People call me Patricia. John Wiseman called me Patricia from day one.
I want to see that.
And I lived it. Well, I don't care. Call me what you want as long as you don't slap my side of my head. Back to you, Coach. You got a quite fast moving life. You're 19 years. Tim Blashell's here with me out of Sault Ste. Marie. His brother's the famous Jeff Blashell, but you're a famous guy here in Big Rapids. You know what I'm saying? We're all famous. Paulette's famous. Mike Spedowski. Mike, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about your business and then how that correlated with hockey. If hockey helped you be an entrepreneur or be successful in your life and what you learned from hockey. But I want to follow up with Tim a little bit more here. You got an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. You're athletic director assistant up at Ferris, so you got to go to a lot of the games. Have you ever have you ever pinched yourself and said, wow, I'm one of the luckiest guys in the world? Because here we have Tia Brando Wilhelm, GLIAC Coach of the Year. I've known Tia since she came to town. I knew her husband, and I still do know her husband, Dale, real well. They're great people. She's always been successful. I told my wife back when she lived across the street from us, I said, that girl's going to be a successful volleyball coach at Ferris. She goes, how do you know? I said, she's putting a family together over there. Every weekend or even in the evenings and beautiful summer nights, she'd have that whole team over at her place. She got to know them. She got to know their family. She got to know what made them tick. She kept them in their head going in the right direction, you know, and I saw that in Ryan Hodges with the football defensive backs. I mean, Ryan, he was our neighbor for a while too. He did the same thing, got those kids over there and got to know what the hell what was going through their heads, you know, if there was a mental block going on or whatever, he'd help them out with their studies, whatever. But that being said, and you included, we have been very fortunate with coaches at Ferris State. Tony Anise-Gliak, Coach of the Year. I mean, what a show he's put on for us for the last 10, 11, 12 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Bob Daniels, I mean, he might be getting beat once in a while, but it's always 2 to 3 or 1 to 3 or 1 to 2. You know, he's always in the battle there. Tell us about your experiences. I mean, your nightlife. It's not at Zot's Bar like mine, is it?
No, sometimes you wish, but no. I mean, it is a unique job for sure, and I couldn't be happier in my position. And it's unique to the fact of coaching. I have a unique opportunity to see and deal with these coaches on a day-to-day level, and to kind of see the preparation and how they work. And that's what I do enjoy. I love that. And one of the big parts of my job is to fix problems in terms of facilities or operations or different things during the game. And so I get to be pretty intimate with these coaches, again, every day. And I think it's something special, again, about Big Rapids. You just don't see the turnover. You know, even in the football staff, Ryan Hodge has been here for a long time. Yeah. Tesfa, those guys have been there for a while, and you just don't see that turnover, and that's something special. And I think it kind of goes back to Paulette and how this town is. You know, Paulette sits. Just a couple years ago, we started really talking to our team about who that lady is over there.
Right?
Know?
Yeah, and that's something I love. I love it, Paulette.
I really do, and
I do too. She's a wonderful lady.
Yeah.
But you know, behind in your profession. Mine, I worked for myself my whole life, and I put enough hours into. But one thing it does, when you're a coach or a business owner, Mike can tell you this too, you don't get paid by the hours, you get paid by the effort that you put in. That being said, it's about time. It's very time consuming. It engulfs your life. Let's talk a little bit about your wife. It's got to be kind of hard on her, being home nights with them little babies back in the day. Now they're a little bit self-efficient, but they're still 8 and 6.
Yeah.
They need that time with mom and dad. Your wife, where'd she grow up?
So my wife actually grew up in Chase.
Chase, Michigan.
Chase, Michigan.
Well, that's why you're successful.
Yes.
Hell,
sure.
you're right. Again, I tell you what, Reed City, Big Rapids, we might be arch rivals, but we are family.
Yep.
Chase, Michigan. What was her maiden name?
Jackson. So
Jackson.
Aaron Jackson. Yep. And she actually graduated from Reed City. Again, that's how I met my wife was through this town and through this experience. So I couldn't ask for anything more. And you knew you need a special person behind you. And she was new to hockey as well. She had not known a lot about hockey, but she bought in right away and understood. And couldn't.
Did she play ball in high school?
She played volleyball.
What'd her dad do?
Her dad worked for the city in Baldwin. Actually,
okay.
So he was part of the road commission.
So he showed good work ethic. He was out there at nights working. See, that helps too. She grew up in an environment that dad had to go out nights and work.
Absolutely.
Days and nights. So then she got married to you and realized that, hey, he's like my dad.
Yeah.
But if she would have lived in an environment of daddy was there every day, she'd be after you.
A little bit different
every day too. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So you're both living the dream then, eh?
We are.
She's happy, you're happy,
For sure.
I know it's tough on a marriage, though. A lot of coaches I know that don't make it, and a lot do, and so it takes a great lady. I just wanted to talk about your wife a little bit.
Yeah, she's a teacher, a special education teacher at the MISD.
Wow.
So,
yeah. Well, then she understands you real well with your handicap, that coach. No, that's good. I tell you, special ed is a very, those people are special in what they do, and my hat's off to them.
Yeah.
But going back to your coaching, I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I do, because you don't have a number one player. But did you ever see something in the unsung kid that came in there, didn't have any talent at all, and then it was an overachiever? Do you have anybody in mind that you would like to?
We've had a few.
Eh?
Yeah,
good.
I always tell this story, and it's really old. Mike's heard this quite a few times, but when we made it to the state championship game in 2009, we were playing against Cranbrook, Bloomfield Hills Cranbrook, and their starting forwards were Brown, who's Doug Brown's kid from the Detroit Red Wings, who was from Boston.
Wow.
The center was the Mr. Hockey that year. He's from California.
Oh, my Lord.
And then the left wing was from Poland.
Oh, my Lord.
And I turned around and looked at our players, and we had Reed City, I think Morley and Big Rapids. And the Morley kid had a skate, and his top of his flap, it was Cody Gosma, and his top of his flap was like taped together, and I'm like, that's what I love. I love this right now, So
Wild Ducks.
And we were close, and people asked about private versus public and this and that.
Yeah.
And but I said, nothing would make it more special than to beat that team at that
Right.
point. And we were close, but there's been a ton. Really, the Fever family, a lot of families that have come through. Jones family, a lot of different brothers, and so it's been quite a few over the years, but we've always had to have a good special mix in that formula.
My son Adam, back in his high school days, he was a pretty good athlete. So was Matt. But Adam played 3 sports, baseball, and I'm glad he did. I love baseball and I love basketball. He was pretty good at that too in football. But on the football team, I don't think they won a game until they were like juniors. They might have won one game prior to that, but they were in the games, but they just couldn't quite win. And I said to him, I says, what's going on there? You guys don't have enough athletes or what? And he goes, well, Dad, to be honest with you, our best athletes are walking down the halls.
Yeah.
He goes, if they were playing, I might not be starting.
Yeah.
I said, really? And he goes, well, I don't know if that's true or not. And I wouldn't think, being a daddy, it's not true. But do you see down the halls kids that should be playing hockey or going, wow, I wish you were playing? Because that would just put us over the top, maybe,
It's hard with hockey because it is a skating sport, so you really have to have that base, and that is the hard thing. If you don't start skating when you're younger, it's a little bit harder to catch up. But, we bring up Thomas Crandall all the time. Thomas was one of the best players I've ever coached, and he started when he was, I think, 8 or 9. Yeah. And he was playing squirts, but he was also out with the learn to play. He was about 6 foot at that point, so he was out with the little guys. But he never was embarrassed, never stopped. Just worked so hard to get where he wants to get. I think on the flip side, we've had this problem. I call it a great problem to have the last couple of years, where our football team has excelled in the playoffs, and we had 8 or 9 football players crossover with hockey.
Wow. Yeah.
And so at one point we weren't sure we were going to be able to play our first game, but again, what a great problem to have, and you love to see that. Coach Selzer's done a great job, and our team, it helps them become better hockey players and better athletes, and so we really push that.
I won't talk long on it, but I know before your time, they used to always separate those coaches would always fight each other over their players and say, no, you got to play hockey all year long. You can't play football. Now you don't see that anymore, which is great. I think you're right. Mike Seltzer's the all-American guy when it comes to all sports. There's great people, him and his wife. But so hockey this year, what do you project happening there?
Yeah, we did start off 0-2. We went up to the Sioux a couple weekends ago, but I really do like our team. We have 5 seniors, I think 11 juniors, and 2 sophomores this year, with a couple with an exchange student or 2 exchange students as well. So, I like the potential for our team.
Who's your seniors? Just kind of.
Ari Ziska, JJ Strokrich.
Oh yeah.
Isaac Sacco, Caleb Spees, and Ethan Voigt. I think that's the 5.
That's pretty good. Isn't it, Paulette?
It's wonderful.
Because that's on the spot. We have nothing scripted here, Sometimes these guys walk out saying, I ain't going on there again. I'll tell you that right now. No.
Yeah.
No, that's great, though. So, you're positive. You put that on your team. I know that. So, how many games do you play a year?
We play 25.
So if anybody wants to go to your games, which I hope you all do, get on the website at Big Rapids High and Athletics and your schedules.
Yeah,
right
schedules should be listed.
They used to have little schedules made up. I think Brinks used to support that, didn't they, Paulette? Brinks Body Shop always have little cards. Do they have those anymore with the...
I don't think so.
Pocket schedules,
Well, with these phones, you don't need it. Do you? Just like calendars.
Exactly.
I was talking to Chuck from Chuck and Murdy's yesterday at lunch, and I said, isn't it something back in the day, we still give calendars out. We've been doing it forever. But back in the day, the wall calendars, we used to get 500 of them, and they'd be gone before the first of the year. it's hard to get rid of 100 anymore.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't even know, my son's, why do you buy them, Dad? I said, well, because there's people my age that still like calendars.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'll offer them to the good customer, and anybody over 50 will take one. But under 50, they'll say, I really, with my phone, I don't need the calendar anymore. Everything's right there. So those days everything has to come to an end, and maybe the paper will be gone. But
Pat, do you still have a phone book?
yeah, I do. Yeah, and I holler like hell when I can't find it. But you know that we'll just talk about that for a second. These phones have weakened the mind. I used to remember every business in town, their phone numbers. I remember my aunt and uncle's phone numbers. Nowadays, these are so easy. Pick it up, call Brad Luban. Boom, I call him Brad Luban or Coach Blashell. Call Coach Blashell. Boom, it's right there. You don't need a number. You don't even see a number.
Correct.
Right.
Anyway, Paulette, back to you a little bit.
Yes, sir.
You've kept involved.
I've went to games.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. But you got a shirt on. I want you to turn around, folks, out there in La La Land. She's got a shirt that's Big Rapids hockey shirt that Cardinal hockey, 40 years strong, 1984 and to 24. That's 40 years. And on that 40 is every player. Is that right, Paula?
Exactly.
Every player that ever played Cardinal hockey. And you know, you can read those names too, can't you?
I came with a magnifying glass.
And then you said your son Paul bought that at an auction?
At the golf outing, they have auctions. They have an auction.
Yeah.
Let's get you back on the mic there.
All right, I'm
there we
coming.
go.
Robert, easy now.
Sorry, I'm
No,
not very
you're good.
Want
here.
everybody to hear it.
Okay. They had a golf outing, and he must have seen on Facebook or something that this was going to be auctioned. And he called and asked if I wanted to go over to the outing. And so we went over, and he said, that jersey right there, he said, that's the one I want to buy.
Wow. Can we ask you what it went for?
$4,000.
Did it really?
Yeah, so the money went to a
God
good
bless.
cause.
Yeah.
So you talk about family. One of our own, Josh Simon, this last year was working on his roof and fell off the ladder. And he got paralyzed from the waist down. So all those proceeds went to his family.
Oh, wow. Jeez. What's his folks' name? Josh. I know that name.
His dad was, I don't know, I never met his mother, but his father was from here. He worked at one of the factories. I don't
Mike or Terry?
Terry.
Yeah, Terry. I went to school with Terry. A few years older. I think he graduated in
Yeah,
69.
but you go back to the family, right? So I
Yeah.
mean, everybody was in on it. Everybody pushed it up to take that money to go back to Josh.
Well, Mike, you have a golf outing every year, and you're involved with that, eh?
I helped start the first one with Jim Swears and that whole group, but I'm not really involved with it anymore. But they've gone to a different level. Every year they seem to make the golf outing better and better. They add new ideas, different things, and I believe it's better than what it was when we started it. And it's a huge fundraiser. To my knowledge, it's the biggest fundraiser that we have.
Yes.
It is.
With double digits, like $10,000, $12,000, $16,000, depending on the year. I don't know what they did last year, but our goal when we first started was to do $10,000. I believe I heard one year they did like $18,000 just a couple of years back from all the donations. And again, you have new, fresh faces in there, so they go out to people that they know, that like the Curries, that have good funds behind them and give good donations to these programs to keep, because we do need all this money. This money goes to help the next year, right? We're taking care of our next generations.
But being supported by the school, not 100% then.
We get some,
Yeah, the
something
school does, and especially I think in today's day and age, they've been great to continue the support, but it's probably still about 75 or 70%. You know, through the boosters and the program that Paulette and these great people started. So
this
And
money.
that's just it, is that this program, even though my name is attached to it, it's our boosters. They're wonderful, and they work hard, and they do all the, we never had outside people come, run the clock, do the 50-50, I mean, just everything. We do it all ourselves.
Parents.
Yeah, you know, I just smile because, like Mike touched a little earlier, that group, I see them at Zots a lot prior to a game, and they're just all excited. They're living in the American dream for that moment, you know, and that's what makes me smile at programs like we have like this, because this is the best of America, isn't it? This is the freedom that the guys, the veterans, fought for this world.
Exactly.
And for our country to so we can sit here and have a good time in the studio talking about the past. And we want the future to go on and be like that. And thanks to our veterans that we have that. And you guys are just always I don't know if Tim, you realize how influential you are to young people, because when they come out of your program, I'll ask them. I says, "How was your coach? What did he mean to you?" And it's always good things about you. I'm sure there's a disgruntled kid that didn't get to play enough that probably doesn't like you, but hell, I got most of my employees never liked me either. But you're pretty lucky that way. I bet you have a lot of veterans come back and say to you, "Tim, thanks a lot. It made a difference. You helped me who I am today." Mike, it goes back to you, and I want to touch on that a little bit. You're an entrepreneur over on the east side of Big Rapids there, in the Bleecker Insurance office there with payday loans.
Correct. Yep.
And you've been doing that for quite a long time now. Well, I want to ask you how you got into it, but how did hockey help you become a successful businessman?
So I think hockey always just makes you accountable, right? All growing up, and we had a great coach. We had good coaches back when we grew up, and we had an incredible class, right? From myself with Brian Merrick, Dave Cooper, Johnny Osaski, Stroke Ridge.
Well, you did, didn't you?
Mike Moss, Hawkins. Our senior year, we went 15-1. We had one loss in the regular season until we went to the state finals. But I do believe that Bakes was really good at it, and I believe also my father on accountability, and I do believe that still is a trend to this day. My son says the same thing about Blash when he coaches. You know, when he coaches now, the accountability that's there that makes you just a better player for it, right? You got to answer for what you do. And it's going back to my history. Obviously, my father owned a pool business here in town for probably 30-some years. I had worked for a rent-to-own company for a little while, and I left that to go back to work for my father. And through coaching, I went. Brian Gwinney was coaching in 2000, I believe, or maybe 99. 2001, I started coaching with Brian, and you get a relationship with the kids, right? I mean, you get a friendship. And Zach Swears and Brian Garlock ended up working for us during the summer to do pools, and in that, I got a relationship with Zach, and he went back to college the next year and decided that he didn't want to go. He went about halfway, and he's like, "I don't want to do it." So we actually opened up a rent-own, and we opened up that rent-own on the east side, where I'm not sure what
pot shots there
now. Yeah. We opened up the rent-own, and we did that for several years, and without the support from like my father, and then our business got really big. Zach's dad was a huge factor on that. Yeah. We grew it up, and then Zach decided he wanted to go do insurance, so he went with Bleecker. And I got to throw a little out there. So we were talking about the coaches when we were kids. So we didn't have, nowadays I believe our youth programs have amazing coaches. They have, most all of them are coaches that have gone through Big Rapids, have gone through the high school program. They know the game. We had Randy Bleecker and my father, God bless them. They probably never played, but without them, we would have never had that 15-1 season, right? It's those kind of people that you need in your life. And so anyways, back onto the story. Zach decided to go do insurance with Bleecker Insurance. And then I changed it over to the payday loans. And it's been 20 years now.
God, I know it. Life goes by fast.
Real fast.
Blink, that song, Blink in the Eye. Tim, back to you for a minute on competition. Back in the 80s, hockey was kind of like a pioneer sport in Michigan. You had it up in Sault Ste. Marie, but if I remember right, nobody in the middle of Michigan had a hockey program at that time. Everybody, when we were kids, we skated on ice outside every elementary. We had an ice skating rink. I don't know if you knew that, but we did. No. Yeah, back in the city, would come in and do you remember that, Paulette? Back in the 60s and 70s. Anyway, we all learned how to skate back then. I should have pursued it. I could have been probably owned 2 gas stations instead of 1. But anyway, it wasn't known. Hockey wasn't known. It was football, the 3 main, basketball, and baseball. So Big Rapids started it thanks to people like Paulette. And we were probably, Cadillac didn't have it when you started.
I'm not sure.
No. Cadillac actually had an outdoor rink for a few years, and they didn't start until they're 27.
99.
Yeah, they're a few years.
There's very few in Grand Rapids, but there was a few.
Yeah, correct.
But you have more competition today than you ever have had, haven't you? I don't even know if Traverse City had it back then when you started, did
They
they?
didn't have the reps. The Traverse City reps.
Had one team.
They had
No, I mean high school. Did they have high school hockey in Traverse City?
They
when
had
you
one
started,
team.
Paul?
Now they have 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because
so
Traverse City had the outside.
you see,
Correct.
unlike everything else, you went back in the old days. NFL, you ran 3 or you ran 2 and you passed the third time. Now you pass all 3 down, sometimes 4. Do you see a faster game today, Tim, than you did when you played, or even before that?
I think so. I think in general, I think the kids are a little bit stronger, a little bit faster, and the game is certainly different than it was when I played. I think the penalties and some of the physical stuff, and probably rightfully so. So it's a little bit of a different game. But yeah, Traverse City, we actually play the reps this Friday, and that's one of 3 teams. I grew up again in the Sioux, and we always played the one combo Traverse City team, and they when I first started, they weren't. Or when I was a freshman, sophomore, they weren't very good. And then as a junior and senior, they were getting better. And
I remember Randy Bleeker. Oh my God, he used to come back to the station and say, "Oh my God, I just drove up to the Sioux and watched Chad play last night. A whiteout all the way up. They closed the highway, and I still went through.
Every
And
year.
how he made it, I don't know, but he did.
Yes.
Oh my God,
That's how
that's
Randy became my
the
friend, was
blood.
through hockey.
That seems like yesterday, and Chad's been out since what, 98?
93. He was
93?
Chad was part of that whole group as well.
You guys had a heck of a good
we
team,
had an
didn't
amazing.
you? Was Hank Ware in that group too?
Hank was, but Joey was a couple years behind us.
Okay.
But he was definitely part of that. Casey
McNabb.
Maloney.
Boy, Maloney's, they were big supporters.
Huge
He used to
supporters
come
of the
in by like 10, 12 packs of Mountain Dew.
Absolutely.
Took it to them players and fed them that sugar, and boy, they
Yep.
could play then.
Things are definitely different. Oh,
He
the
was a
old
big,
hideaway.
big
This
factor
is
in that.
something that he had, that
Yep.
Casey's had out.
Oh, wow. Yeah, show that. Yeah. Yep. But anyway, the game, there's more teams now than ever, isn't there? It's really, I have good friends of mine up in Canada, and if they can't make it in hockey, they race horses.
Yeah.
The 2 big sports
Yeah,
up there is
for sure.
hockey, and I know a lot of Canadians that have always been a Red Wing fan too. The Ontario people,
Yeah.
they're Red Wing fans. So, but what is it about hockey that people get so adamant about it and so strongly opinionated that no, we're gonna be successful? What is it? I mean, you look at basketball as a season that everybody goes to the game, but once it's over, it's over. Where hockey, it's a 24, 7 days a week throughout the whole year. Really, like I say this because I know a lot of customers that come in the station, like Jamie Park.
Yeah.
Him and his wife have 3 little boys there, and
Yes.
they're little angels. God bless their little souls. I
that
love
family.
them. They're growing like weeds, and I hope that I told them, you're growing like weeds, just don't start smoking it. But the oldest one there, I said to him the other day, I said, I hear you're pretty good. He's a pretty good football player too, I guess. But I said, I heard you're a pretty good hockey player. I said, your dad was one of the best ones all time around Big Rapids.
He was very good.
You're going to be as good as your dad? Oh, I'm better right now. I said, well, that's that hockey mentality, isn't it? You know, he's got that belief that he's going to be, and he is pretty good, huh?
He's pretty
How
good.
many years do you think you're going to go in hockey coaching? How many years do you think?
That's a good question. My son is like I said, 8 and
Right.
just getting into full ice. He's playing squirts this year, so it's
You go forever.
10 more.
yeah. No, I don't. I'm not sure. I'm not.
But I mean, you're not going to
Yeah.
retire soon. You
No,
wanna,
I don't think so. I think as the time, my
You're
job's
young.
evolved a little bit at Ferris, but no, I think for the future here, we'll keep going, and it's a great every year it kind of cycles, and I have a unique experience too with working with our Braja group, so I get to know these families when they're young, and so it's not like it's just brand new for me.
you don't look like you got very many gray hairs. How old are you again? You said 48?
48, yeah.
So the stress of it all. I mean, anytime you're an owner of a business, Mike will tell you this, coach, whatever, you're going to have disgruntled parents.
Yep.
How do you handle that?
It's hard. It's I'm a happy guy, I think, in general, and I like to make people happy and enjoy the experience, but at the same time, I know you have to make those decisions that are the right decisions that you feel are right. And then I also think just the you're not always going to be right, and you have to be able to continue to get better. And I think I bring this story up too, that one of the first things I ever learned in coaching was down at Florida at the college convention, and it was Red Berenson from Michigan, and he talked about the moment you stop learning is the moment you should stop coaching, and I believe that, and you could equate that to being a father, a husband. So I kind of live that way, and it is hard, but you got to believe in the decisions you make and stand up to those, but then also looking inside.
You must be keeping pretty happy, Mike. The people I know in hockey are pretty happy with you, but there's got to be disgruntled times, and I just hope that. What I always say to people when they come in with a little bit disgruntled with me, I always say, well, why don't you tell me how you really feel? That always goes over well. But two negatives don't make a positive, that's for sure. But yeah, Paulette, what do you think?
I just wanted to say one more thing, because I don't know that if Tim knows this or not about our hockey program. But the first year that we became a program, we played all home games. We had no away games, so all of our games were
Really?
And we didn't have transportation or anything. And I wanted to thank Ferris also because they gave us their hockey pants, or are they called pants?
Yep.
And when the boys went on the ice the first game, our colors were Ferris colors because we bought jerseys to match the pants that we wore. So we were gold and red and white for the first few seasons. Then we went and got some money, and we were able to buy our school colors and play then. And we were the first ones to have a chartered bus take the boys around because
I remember that.
I was the one setting up the schedule for where they were going and everything, and I called the school to do a bus. And that year they told me the price, and it's when diesel was just so high. I thought, how are we ever going to do that? So I decided to call some charter things, and the charter bus was less than what the school bus was.
Out of Barrington.
Pardon me?
Wasn't it out of Barrington, the guy out of
No,
Barrington?
it was the Cardinal bus out of
bus
Grand
line.
Rapids.
Oh, okay.
And it just happened that it was the Cardinal bus was the least expensive. And when that bus pulled up in front to pick up the team, they were
Right.
just amazing. Our Cardinals were riding off.
And the
it was
same bus
wonderful.
driver
Yep, he was
took me as a kid was there when I was coaching. His name's Don, and he's up by the Reed City area. He golfs every day at his wife works at the Spring Valley, but I still see him every year. His name's
Reed,
Don.
I know
There were a
that
lot of
guy.
people
Great guy,
helped and,
huge
and
part
did
of the
everything,
program.
and it was just
It's
it
amazing.
was awesome.
Any other great memories?
Just the mic.
No. What about your sons when they played, though? Paul
Oh, my
and Rick.
gosh.
Did they play together?
They did.
Yeah.
It was exciting because it was only like one time that they had a DeVries goal, and it was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah?
And but they played. Paul was the first high school player to go to Canada to play, and I don't know if it was junior hockey then. You'd have to tell me what it would be.
Wow.
But he went to Canada and he stayed with the family up there and played hockey, and it wasn't for him to be full time or whatever, but he enjoyed when he did it. And there's just so many. I would like to mention names, but there's everybody.
Well, go ahead, mention a few.
Well, TJ Jackson last year, he called me and he knew that I had a lot of videos of when we played and everything, and so he took them and he's uploaded some of them onto YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's the first games that
Wow.
we've ever played way back in the '80s that they
Isn't
played
that
and everything,
something?
and I just can't think of whatever. But yeah, I just enjoy it. It was just so fun. You just, like Mike said, you just get to know everyone, and you're just like you're with family all the time. It's just what we do. Ronnie did the scoring in the box, and Les Hersher and Paul Schell, and I don't remember who else did it after that, but they took care of it. But like I said, everybody just chipped in and did everything, and there's just so many people to thank. But our boosters are just in the community that supported us. That's just.
No, that first season, was it only 8 games?
No, there was. It'd be right
Okay,
in.
I didn't know if that was
Paul,
the first or second. I thought we heard
I
it
gotta. We're gonna run short here, and I knew that we could talk forever, but I'm not gonna. She's gonna have to kick me out of here.
Okay.
Listen,
Okay.
we've talked about these guys.
Yes.
Your husband, Ron, I love him to death. You
So do
two have
I.
been married. I know you do. Well, I love you both. But
58
anyway,
years.
in 1 or 2 minutes here, real quick.
Yes.
Recap your marriage. How many years you've been married?
58.
What is the secret for these young people to make it 58 years? What is it that they have to do to be successful in marriage? Because the reason I say that, it's so easy to walk away from it. I'll see somebody and they'll say, well, I'm divorced. What happened? We just didn't. We fell out of love. How do you fall out of love, and how do you stay in love?
You just know that you're going to make it. You can either want to make it or not. And we want to make it.
Were you two a lot alike or different?
Oh, totally opposites.
Okay.
Totally.
And then did your
He's
husband
laughing
ever
right
say-
now while he's listening to this.
Well, I tell you, I love Ron. You know
Yeah, I know
that.
that.
And he's overcome cancer. I
Yes.
mean, he's been battling that for probably 15 years or better. He's always tried to stay positive. I know a lot of days he's been sick, and I just pray to hell he gets better.
Yes.
But anyway, you two are very unique. And I go back to Coach Blashell. What he says is the reason he likes Big Rapids is because of the family atmosphere Big Rapids has, and you're part of that. You're a big part of that, and you should be crowned for that achievement.
Well, I
50-some
appreciate
years.
that. And I also appreciate the fact that coming from my small town that I love, and I love Big Rapids, very much, but my small town was what did it for me too.
You're listening to WBZX Big Rapids.
Oh, thank you there, darling.
Yeah.
But
That's
anyway,
my job.
yeah, well, sure.
But I can't get a word in edgewise. So.
No, you can't. Well, Paulette, but
I
then
might as well
again,
go home and come back when you're done.
Was there ever time that Ronnie said, I call him Ronnie, I call him Ron. You always called him Ronnie.
I do.
But we call him Ron out of respect. But was there any time that he sat there and said, wow, we're doing a little bit too much here? Financially and time consuming, because you had your daycare. People out there in Wonder World wonder what you did. Well, my God, you started.
That was awesome too.
You started a daycare before daycares were started.
Yeah.
What year was that in?
I started daycare in '71 and went for 37 years.
And you built a little school there, and that
did.
kind of modernized that whole, because back in the daycare center, it was at a house, and you just had a living room with three kids in it.
I had a center. I went from being that to a center.
You made an institution out of it, and a learning center. And
definitely.
people come back to you to this day, 45, 50, actually 50, over 50 years now.
Exactly.
53 probably, right? Come back to you and say, wow, she raised me.
Jacob Holtz wasn't on hockey, but he was at my daycare, and he's now the coach of the Iowa college hockey team.
Really?
Yes.
How about that?
And I go to Grand Rapids in his playoffs, and I go to Grand Rapids and watch his team play.
Yeah.
And I see him every summer, and he calls me. He every year since he's came to my center, until this day now, he calls me every Halloween and tells me Happy Halloween.
Wow. See, that's
Because
how.
they always like to come to the house, and even if he was growing up, he came to the house to say hi to me. And so now he's in Iowa, and he's still.
My memories, I have a memory of everybody in my life. And one of my memories of you, I have a few of you and Ron, but one is the groceries. When you'd come in and get gas, you'd have I said, my God, how many kids are you feeding? And you'd say, oh, about 40. And there was always a line. I remember Scotty Myers went there. I remember so
sure
many.
did.
Did you ever keep track of the names?
That's the one thing I regret.
Yeah.
That I didn't, because there are so many.
Yeah.
And just like when you're talking about Thomas Crandall,
Right.
he's one of my boys.
Yeah. That's the only regret I have, too, is I've had a lot of great employees
Exactly.
that have turned out to be very successful people. And some come back and thank me for being a hard ass on them. But I wished I would have kept pictures and names of them all. And someday on Facebook, if I ever get back on it, by the way, I've been kicked off because I'm trying to sell these GUNS guns at the station.
Welcome to the fourth hour of
Well, whatever.
24/7 Pat. That's what we're going for.
And I don't blame you for
Exactly.
kicking me off, but I just want to say we're having a raffle, and the proceeds are going to Braja. Did
Love
you know
it.
that?
Yes.
So we have tickets at Curries, $10 a piece. We're giving through Barrington Firearms and Training over there, Casey and Nemeth. Thanks to him, we got a real reasonable price on them. So the proceeds, buy get tickets, folks. They're going to go until the 30th, and we're going to draw 3 winners. And they get a choice of those 3 guns. But more importantly, not the guns, but it's helping Braja out.
Exactly.
Deanna Goldthwait, I think, is ahead of that this year, and she's going to be a big strength to that. We got some great people. But anyway, get in there and buy a ticket for it. All the proceeds are going to, the profits are going to Braja. So hopefully we'll get $1,000 for them.
Wonderful.
And they weren't looking for that, but they're going to get it. So I think it's. I picked that because I see all the wonderful, wonderful people like Paulette DeVries.
Thank you.
Still in this community making things happen, and we call a family.
Great community.
Yeah. Anything else? I'll wrap it up. I know she has other things to going on the radio.
Just the game tonight. We
Big
got the
game.
131 Cup
Yeah.
tonight versus Cadillac, 7 p.m. So
Oh, it is right here in Big Rapids.
Yes.
Yeah, it's right there, south end of Big Rapids at the Ice Arena. Yeah. Who's your assistant, real quick? You want?
I've got a few. Matt Crosson's one of our assistants. Brendan Pippin, Joey Van Keulen added this year. So Joey's been a nice.
Wow, he's a big
addition.
one.
Yeah, he's a good
Played
one.
Ferris Bulldog,
Played
great
Ferris.
father,
Yeah,
great
got to know
husband.
Joey
Well, I
when
think
he
he's a great husband. I don't
played.
know. Yeah, ask Emily.
Jack
But any-
Hosky is another one that's helping us this year. Another former player. So, yeah,
That's good. Mike helps a little bit. I know
Yes,
on
he
a lot
is.
of things. Yeah.
yes, he
Makes
does.
it
Well, life goes by fast. This has been a moment I'll always cherish. Paulette, I love you to death. Mike, I've known you since you're a little guy.
Yes, sir.
I get a little tear thinking of your dad because your dad was just one wonderful person back in the day to St. Mary's Church and School. He was just a very giving person to everybody in the community. When somebody needed help, he was there. When somebody was selling a ticket, he was there. I can't say enough, and I know you're taking in his footsteps or following him, but it's hard to emulate a great father. I know that. But
is.
the other thing that you can say about trying to emulate a great father is that you had one.
Yep.
And I pray for everybody in this world today to have a great father because that's what we need more of.
Yes, sir.
And I know you are too, Tim. You're a great father and a great husband. And Paulette, can't say enough about you. I've known you most of my life, and you've been an instrumental to a lot more people than you think. And I think of school teachers that have done so many good things with their students over the years, and Coach Williams and guys like that have touched a lot of people. But I don't know if anybody in Big Rapids has touched more people than you. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I mean that, yeah. So
Thank you very much.
take care of Ron. Bob, thanks a lot for having us. Jen, I'm glad you had overtime sports show here this morning.
Thank you,
God bless
Jen.
America.
Yes.
Any song, Tim, that you'd like to play before we leave? After we leave?
Boy, I'm not.
What's your favorite song?
My favorite song? I'm not good.
Well, you like country?
Yeah,
I know.
I like a
Mike?
little bit of everything. So,
Favorite song, Paulette?
We are the champions.
there you go.
We are. Oh, there you go. You got that, Bob? We are the champions.
You have to give me a minute.
Yeah, that's all right. You got a minute, but I tell you what, you guys are champions, and Big Rapids really appreciates all three of you guys, and I'm glad you made it your home, Tim. You know, it's funny how God and fate has its plan, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Yeah. And I loved when you said you love Big Rapids because of the atmosphere.
Yep.
Hopefully we can
Can I
keep
just
it that way.
thank the
Yep.
boosters too? Because
Yep.
the boosters, I just can't say enough about them, but the program is because of the boosters and the
Yeah.
community. And I want to thank both the boosters and the community for all that they've done for our program. And it's just very much appreciated. And when first game, when I see those boys step on the ice, young men, I should say, step on the ice, it's a good thing.
Well, I'm being a little facetious, but I am thankful that all the other sports aren't as adamant as you folks are when it comes to fundraising. Or us business people would be broke. No, I love it. You guys do a great job. Well, God bless America, Bob. Ready?
Yeah, well, actually, I got to do business first.
Oh, do business.
Thank our sponsors. We didn't talk about them at all.
Bye-bye.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. It's, Zott's Bar and Grill is one of our sponsors, along with Big Rapids Tires on, of course, Curry's Hot Stove League. Getting hotter by the minute.
Hey, this is Andrew from Big Rapids Tire. Putting off winter, good idea for some, but in reality, pretty much impossible. And if you wait too long to get snow tires, you'll be saying,
Should have done it sooner. Dang it.
or something slightly more harsh. Last thing you want is to be slipping and sliding, or even worse, delayed, because you can't get out of your driveway. Get fresh new snow tires from Big Rapids Tires. There's no better feeling than to confidently take on the roads in the rough weather with good, solid snow tires on your car. Confidence and peace of mind. Priceless. Big Rapids Tire. There for you, whatever the weather. Fast and friendly service on Northland Drive, just north of Big Rapids. Call 796-4839. That's 796-4839. Big Rapids Tire.
Come say cheers at Zott's Bar and Grill in Big Rapids. Great food, great prices, and great people, where everybody knows your name. Zott's, people's choice for best soup. You don't want to miss their award-winning burgers and chili as well. Originally opened in 1933 and serving it up ever since. Seasonal beers on tap. Located at 732 North State Street in Big Rapids. Roxanne and Doug at Zott's Bar and Grill are proud sponsors of the Signature Player of the Week for the Curry's Hot Stove League every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m.